Hey there, writing buddies. Michael here with another video from Mr. Swain. So the last few videos we've been creating characters, and I can't think of a better way to finish by killing them off. Now, when it comes to killing characters, there's a lot of ways to do it. However, there's just one particular way of doing it wrong. I'm going to get that out of the way real fast. Back in the 70s, 80s, comic books were doing this thing where they would have the main character, typically a guy, have a relationship, and then they would kill the girl so that way they could give that superhero something to kind of be hurt about, be traumatized with, give them some more skin in the game. Because when you have characters that are basically untouchable, especially like in the DC universe, Superman is basically, you can't kill him. So how do you hurt him? In one issue of The Flash, what they did was they killed off his girlfriend and they put either her or her head, I'm not sure which one it was, I forget now, into his refrigerator. And that was probably how he found her. And after that, this method of trying to inflict damage on our main character just by having another character come in and die, and that then gives them emotional damage, emotional trauma, all that stuff, that has now been called fridging. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and do it the right way. First thing that you want to do when you're thinking about killing a character is it actually a good idea? Killing characters can often be, very jarring for the audience. Obviously, it's going to be jarring for your characters inside the story, but we don't want to do it just for shock value. We don't want to do it like fridging. We want to do it for a reason. It needs to still move the plot forward in some way. And characters can be drawbacks because either you might fridge the character, or you might actually be highlighting plot armor around your main character. If the character that you kill should be more difficult to kill than your main character, but they die, that just goes to show that your main character can't be killed. Let's talk about reasons why you would want to kill a major character. Now, even though we just said that trauma alone is not good enough, that is true. Trauma alone is not good enough. If the character lived and the story would go on as it normally would anyways, and we're still going to get the climactic battle that we would regardless, then killing the character didn't really do anything, right? However, if killing the character does include trauma, includes raising the stakes, and it does also push that plot forward to get us to that final resolution, that final conflict, then trauma and raising the stakes is fine. A kind of great example of this is Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. I say kind of because he comes back later, obviously, so that kind of messes it up. But when he dies in the Lord of the Rings, it's actually very well done for upping the stakes and tragedy for the characters. The other part to this that Gandalf really exemplifies is that if the character's death really only does trauma and ups the stakes, as long as they did other things beforehand, then they can die and only really have that trauma. But if they really did nothing, they just came in, they showed up, they're supposed to be the best friend or whatever, and then they died, it's not good enough. But in the case of Gandalf, Gandalf was the leader of the party. He was kind of almost the inciting incident. He was what got Frodo, he was the instigator that got Frodo out of the Shire. And he was also very powerful. He was a very powerful part of the group. So having the group lose him, not only did everyone like Gandalf, especially Frodo, he was very tied to Gandalf, but losing him really upped the stakes in that moment, because it was like, we are up against this thing that we can't beat, the Balrog, and it took Gandalf to beat it, and it also cost us Gandalf. So now we are much weaker now than we were before. So now the rest of the plot has now, the stakes have been raised, because now we don't have a wizard anymore to help us through all these upcoming trials. The next reason that you might want to kill a character is really to darken the plot. Sometimes a story just really isn't that heavy until we get an on-screen death. If you might hear characters talk about people dying off on the side. Any main character, any like major character that you have that dies should be in the pages somewhere. I always use the term on screen, but it should be somewhere in the book where they die. Having a major character die off screen, like while the character has his back turned or like is just in a different location, and then they die, is usually very unsatisfying. But if you have a character die on screen, then it can really darken the plot because now we've just witnessed a death. Another good reason to kill off characters would be the passing of the torch. This typically happens with characters who are in like the parent or guardian role. A lot of times in that story, the main character is, underneath this character, this other character, and they are learning from them. They are kind of like the sidekick almost up to this point. And this other character has a duty, they have a responsibility that they need to have fulfilled, but then they die. And now that responsibility, that duty is being passed on to the main character, right? And so it puts the main character in the sole responsible shoes of getting this task completed. One of the biggest reasons I use to kill characters is to level up a bad guy. This will typically happen in a story that has multiple books because usually what will happen is you've already established one of these major characters as a credible threat because, in the first book they fought a wizard, the second book they fought off a demon, and now they're fighting this dragon. But out of all these events, the dragon is what kills this character off. That makes it to where, you might have kind of thought, okay, dragon's a pretty big deal, sure. But when you have the dragon actually kill off a character that we know is a credible threat of their own, that really brings that dragon character up more, showing that they are truly dangerous. No one, the wizard and the demon, they tried to kill the other guy, but they failed. But this dragon succeeded. So when you kill off a character for this reason, you should probably also have other things going on too. But it's also a very good reason to kill off a character is to kind of establish a new character coming in, kind of really showing like, hey, everything about this other character, this new one is more dangerous because they just killed him. Okay, now before I get into my tip about how I actually kill off characters, go ahead and leave a like down below. It really helps the channel. So if you found this informative at all, maybe someone else will, and liking it will help it get out to others. Really appreciate that. My tip, the way that I look at killing characters is what I call fattening the pig. In this method where I take a character and I know that they are going to die, right? I have that reason already set out for myself. I know that I want to kill them. What I do is I basically raise them up to the next level of character. What that might look like is taking a side character and making them a minor character, or a minor character and making them a major character. If you have a major character, I put them in this spot where it's like they're about to have their own spinoff, right? They are becoming so important that you might tease that you're going to kill off your main character, and people might look at it and go, oh, the main character might die here, and this other character is getting so much time, like so much, page time, that they're getting ready to transition us over to this other character. You're definitely going to be giving this other character a bigger role. If it is already a major character, you're probably going to be giving them a complete side plot all of their own. Obviously, it still needs to tie into the story. It still needs to progress the narrative. Still needs to progress everything that you're trying to do with the story. It can't just be a whole separate tale that just happens to be shoved in to this story. But you will probably be giving a major character a lot, like their own POV chapters. If it's a minor character that you're going to be killing off, then again, they're going to be becoming a major character for this book. And one thing I would say too is that if you do kill a character in the heat of the moment, which happens sometimes, when you do that, basically you are going to have to go back in your story to set that up. Because if you just kill a character in the last battle, for instance, and you had no plan of doing that before, but it just turned out that way. You're going in this battle, and you know what? It turned out that just to kind of raise those stakes a little bit more in that final battle, you kill that character off. Well, guess what? You're going to need to go back throughout your manuscript, and you're going to need to boost this other character up. That might just be taking some dialogues from other characters, and you'll probably have to rewrite the dialogue a little bit to fit the other character more, but it might just be giving them some more dialogue here and there, so that way they just become a more recognizable name. People become more used to them. They are more just in tune with this character, and that way when the death hits, it hits harder. As a word of caution, I will say that you don't want to make a character too obviously enhanced that would kind of like tip your hand, showing that like, hey, this character is probably gonna die. You want to be as natural about it as you can, right? So if the character does not have a reason to be in the room, but you're thinking to yourself, well, you know, I'm going to kill this character. I need to add him to more scenes. I can add him to this one, but again, he has no reason to be there. Don't shoehorn him in. That it will come off as weird to the readers. They will basically, you know, especially critics too, they will come up and just be like, hey, look, I don't understand why he was even in the room except just to kind of like show up for 5 minutes. I don't know what he was there for, right? So be as natural as you can with it. You know, just you know, plan your story around this person dying. And as you're going through, again, like I mentioned before in my other videos, I'm always having plot points already marked out, and so that way I know where I'm going, where I'm ending, right? I know the ending already. I know how I'm going to be getting there. And even when it comes to surprise endings for myself where I end up killing a character at the end, I just have to go back, rewrite, and now I know the new ending includes his death, right? As I'm going through, I now know that I need to include this character more. Wherever he already is, I need to kind of boost that up more to really bring out this character, to really, you know, get the reader on board with who this person is. And, you know, what you want to have at the end is the reader really taking a gut punch. You want the reader to wish for that spinoff. You know, the reader should be hoping like, man, this character's so cool. I really hope that they get their own book, right? And then you kill them right in their face. By fattening the pig, it will make it to where you get the most out of the character death. And that is probably the most important part. Out of all your reasons for doing it, out of, you know, how you get it done, as long as you're getting the most out of that character death, depending on, you know, being a minor character, a major character or whatnot, as long as you're getting the most out of it, that is what matters. Tell me in the comments below if you've ever killed a character in your book. How did you do it? I'd love to hear it. Until next time, happy writing, happy reading.